First of all, let's pay homage to the Supreme Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. May the Noble Triple Gem bless you all. Today we are going to start yet another Dhamma discussion. So today that we have to discuss the rest of the hindrances, that we discussed the first two hindrances last week. So in the fourth type of mindfulness meditation, which was about the mindfulness of mental objects as mental objects. So we know that there are 5 topics under this topic, but in this book, it is only explained the first one, which was about the hindrances. So let's see the rest of the 3 hindrances today. So the third one is the hindrance of laziness and sleepiness. In some other books that I found, this is as the sloth and torpor as well. So let's see what it includes. Laziness and sleepiness, tīna and middha, are 2 kinds of unwholesome mental states. Tīna brings the mind to the state of inaptness, clumsy, illness, indolence, and laziness. Middha does the same thing to the states of mind, cetasika. These 2 things are inseparable. Whenever there is tīna in one's mind, middha is also there, and vice versa. Since both these are intertwined, it is difficult to understand separately. But that is not stumbling block for the practitioners. So those who have studied Abhidhamma, the basic Abhidhamma, that they know the tīna and middha are cetasikas, or the mental factors or the mental states. They are unwholesome mental states. So even though in ultimate sense there are 2 hindrances like tīna and middha, but it works quite similarly. So the tīna make the mind lazy. Then the middha makes the same to the cetasikas, or the mental factors. So even though these are 2 mental state, but works together. We know that the cetasikas, certain cetasikas appears together. So that these unwholesome cetasikas, or the mental factors in unwholesome chittas, appears together. So in these nivaranas, or the hindrances, it is mentioned as one nivarana. Understanding both tīna and middha as one hindrance itself is sufficient. So even though this is 2 different cetasikas, but understanding as one is enough to a practitioner to eliminate this hindrance for the meditation progress. What tīna middha does is obstructs and degenerates the practitioner by engaging in meditation. Since it is a hindrance for the gaining of jhana, etc., both these are hindrance. It is because of the similarity of their cause of arising, function, and the nature of opposition to each other. They have been taught not as 2, but as one. Contraction and degeneration are the functions of laziness and sleepiness. The cause of their arising will be dealt later. Both these are opposed to energy. So these two, the mental factors or this nivarana is opposite to the energy or the virya. When there is laziness and sleepiness, the practitioner becomes lazy while practicing meditation, going forward slowly and always postponing things from morning to evening and evening to night. Sometimes what is to be done at night is postponed to the following day. What is to be done today, postponed to tomorrow. And what is to be done this week, postpones to next week. And this month to next month, etc. He is sleepy and then sleeps and meditates. If these characteristics are there in the practitioner, it should be understood that it is the hindrance of laziness and sleepiness. If it is not in oneself, it should be understood that it is not there in oneself. So it is very important to understand if we have this hindrance, we have to understand that there is this hindrance within us. Only then that we can work on it and eliminate it. When one is doing daily chores, respecting the triple gem and offering things dana as well as chanting, listening to the Dhamma talks and meditating in oneself, there arises wholesome consciousness. The unwholesome laziness and sleepiness never arise with such wholesome consciousness. Thoughts of laziness and sleepiness arise among the thoughts in between practicing meditation and before and after them. When the thoughts of laziness and sleepiness arise with the adjacent of wholesome consciousness, it weakens the faculty of energy, which is based on the consciousness of wholesomeness. The meditation practiced with the weakened faculty of energy gains only little fruits. So it explains when we do wholesome practices and when we practice meditation, if there is this hindrance, then we lose the virya, then the practice of meditation become weak. The cause of arising of unarising hindrance of laziness and sleepiness and the development of the arising laziness and sleepiness is the frequent unsuitable contemplation upon weariness of the action, yawning, drowsiness after meal, and sluggishness of mind. Atti bhikkave arati tandi vijambita batta sammado cetaso linnattam. Tatta ayunuso manasikara bahulikaro ayamaharo anuppannasava. Teenamiddhasa uppadaya uppannasava teenamiddhasa biyo bhavaya vepulaya. Weariness of the action here means not interest in doing the action. Yawning means the nature of tightness and numbness of the body. Often this nature is manifested right after awakening. Specifically, this happiness while engaged in activities performing without moving the body, such as meditation, reading, and listening to the Dhamma talks. At such times, most people do yawning, stretching and twisting the body. Most probably the cause of clumsiness of body may be the inappropriateness of season, food, and drink, and not gaining sufficient foods and drinks. This happens right after waking. Drowsiness after meal is the cause of having food either after a big gap between the meals or taking too much food. When these things occur, one should not weaken one's energy. So these are the factors that which weakens the energy, which means arising this particular hindrance. Atti bhikkave ආරම්භ ධාතු, නික්කම ධාතු, පරක්කම ධාතු. තත්ත යෝනිසෝ මනසිකාර බහුලීකාරෝ අයමාහාරෝ අනුප්පන්නස්සවා. තීන මිද්දස්ස අනුපාදාය. උප්පන්නස්සවා තීන මිද්දස්ස නබිහියෝ භාවාය නවීපුල්ලාය. The cause of unarising of the unarisen hindrance of laziness and sleepiness, and the dissipation of the arisen hindrance of laziness and sleepiness is a frequent appropriate contemplation upon the element of initiation, the element of persistence, nikkama dhatu, and the element of exertion, parakkama dhatu, which are more and more powerful to each other respectively. The element of initiation is the energy that one has at the beginning of a certain action as an initial effort. The element of persistence is the next effort, which is more powerful and helpful to continue the action. The element of exertion is the effort that the action is carried on to the end with more and more power and energy. Appropriate contemplation upon the energy means contemplation upon the results of it. So there are three steps of energy, or the virya, arambha dhatu, element of initiation, which is quite easy for most of the people. Then the persistence, nikkama dhatu. It is quite difficult for most of the people. We know that when people initiate some wholesome practices, but after some time they fed up and stop. But those who have more virya, more energy, they initiate wholesome activities, and they keep the persistence, nikkama dhatu. Then the exertion, parakkama dhatu, is more difficult for most of the people. So there are some factors that helps to reduce this particular hindrance. Understanding of the danger of overeating, changing the postures, contemplation upon the light, living in the open space, having good friends, and right speech are the 6 cause for the elimination of the hindrance of laziness and sleepiness. So these are the 6 factors that one can eliminate this particular hindrance. Understanding and danger of overeating. Yes, they're going to be explained. If one starts to practice meditation after overeating, laziness and sleepiness will suppress her like that of an elephant. She needs to sleep. Laziness and sleepiness would not increase in one who meditates after eating enough. Having about 4 or 5 morsels without eating and filling it up with water. For such a person, laziness and sleepiness dissipates. So moderation in food, having food and not too much full, and less, leaving about 4 or 5 morsels, and taking water is the best way of having food. So here it explains when one eats more food, then when he starts meditation, to practice meditation, then this hindrance overpowers him like an elephant. So it is very difficult to practice meditation. So the moderation in food, having quite enough food, is one of the reasons that we can suppress this particular hindrance. If laziness and sleepiness arises while practicing in one posture, that posture should be changed. Then the arising laziness and sleepiness is dissipated. If the posture is changed from time to time, laziness and sleepiness never arise, since changing posture is a disturbance for concentration. This also should be done carefully. When laziness and sleepiness arises, if it is daytime, one can dissipate it by reflecting on the sunlight. If it is at night, by reflecting on the moonlight or any light on staying at any place where there is light. Practitioners prefer to live in open spaces because even though there is enough air, gloomy places are conducive to laziness and sleepiness. Associating with lazy persons who are always sleepy, wherever heading, develops laziness and sleepiness. Laziness and sleepiness dissipates to the person who associates with energetic persons like Venerable Mahakassapa and listens to the talks pertaining to ascetic practices, Dutanga. The hindrance of the laziness and sleepiness that was suppressed by these 6 factors can be completely eradicated, not to arise again by attaining the path of arahanthood. So these are the factors then that one can develops in them and develops virya, the opposite factor of this hindrance. Then he can practice the spirituality, the meditation quite well. So having right people around is it's very important that we know having good friends. Kalyana Mittata is very important in the Buddhist spiritual practice. So here, as this it mentions here as well, if you hang around with people who are lazy, then you are also going to fall into that nature. So it is very important to associate people like Most Venerable Mahakassapa Thera. And reading about or learning about those venerable theros and and associating good or the energetic persons, the Kalyana Mittas, is also very important to reduce or eradicate this hindrance. And at the arahanthood, attaining arahanthood, one can eliminate completely this particular hindrance. So this is the third hindrance, the sleepiness and this laziness and sleepiness. So the fourth hindrance, the hindrance of restlessness and remorse. Restlessness and restlessness here means the restlessness of mind. It is one of the unwholesome mental states. When it is there in the mind does never fix on the object properly. Then the mind is wavering on the object. Remorse is the nature of repenting on the unwholesome deed that has been done and wholesome deed that has not been done. That itself is an unwholesome mental state. Unlike both laziness and sleepiness, these two mental states do not arise all the time together. So the restlessness is the uddacha, which makes the mind restless. So we know that the uddacha or the restlessness is common for all the unwholesome chittas. So it appears in all the unwholesome chittas, but there's a specific one in deluded or the delusion-rooted chittas, the moha-mulika chittas. So in that particular chitta, this hindrances is more powerful, the restlessness, uddacha. Then the kukucha is what is mentioned here as remorse or regret about the unwholesome deeds that has been done in the past and the wholesome that hasn't been done yet. So because of these two, this remorse or the regret can arise in one's mind. So these two are also a hindrance which hinder the development of the spiritual practices. There is restlessness in all unwholesome consciousness. Among the 12 unwholesome consciousnesses, remorse arises only in the two consciousness based on hatred. So we know there are 4 mental states arise with the hatred. So this remorse is one of them. Those, the hatred is jealous, Macharya, stinginess, and Kukucha is the 4th one, remorse. These 4 appear with the hatred chittas. There are 2 hatred chittas. So the remorse appear with those 2 hatred chittas. It is an uncertain mental state which does not arise all the time. Between these two consciousness, it also arises only when repenting on the unwholesome deeds done and undone wholesomeness. Though restlessness arises apart from remorse, the remorse never arises apart from restlessness. So as I mentioned before, the restlessness, the uddacha, one of the mental factors which arises with all the 12 unwholesome chittas. But restlessness is different. It does not appear with all the unwholesome chittas. It appears with only the hatred-rooted chittas. So there are 2 hatred-rooted chittas. Restlessness becomes a hindrance with it arises together with remorse. So as I mentioned before, it appears with all the unwholesome chittas, but it becomes only a hindrance when it appears with the remorse. Since these two mental states are similar with their function, arising and opposition, they have been taught not as two separate things, but as one. The function that takes place from both these is nothing but restlessness of mind. The cause of arising will be dealt with later. Both these are opposed to concentration. So this hindrance is opposed to concentration.
Sarabante, this remorse is a hindrance for meditation because it works against concentration, but outside of meditation, remorse could be a catalyst to like improve yourself or do better the next time?
Well, it is not about, it's not remorse because in the teachings of the Buddha, it is not appreciated remorse because remorse is something you regret about that you have done in the past. What you have to do is to understand as it is and determine not to do it again. So when you regret or repent or when you develop remorse about something, which means it is, you develop some a hatred-rooted chittas because you do not like that object that
The
are
Patigaya.
yes, particular. So
Mm.
what you have to do is to understand as it is, as unwholesome activity or whatever, then to determine not to do it again. That is called in ayati samvara in Pali. But remorse is not something that was appreciated in the teachings of the Buddha.
Thank
Because
you.
yes, because when you develop regret or remorse, it says that you strengthen your unwholesome activity which was done in the past.
Mm.
Yes.
It's a subtle understanding, Bante, to just contemplate and correct yourself without remorse, isn't it?
Yes, yes. That's what we are supposed to do in the spiritual practices.
Mm. Thank you,
Yes.
Bante.
Yeah. When meditating, there arises a wholesome consciousness. In them never arise the unwholesome mental states of restlessness and remorse. If restlessness and remorse consciousness arise before or while practicing meditation with associated concentration, sampayutta samadhi would be weakened. Thus, the practitioner would not obtain jhana, etc. Therefore, restlessness and remorse is a hindrance. Mostly the committed unwholesome deeds is the cause of restlessness and remorse. In case of a monk, it is the offenses done by oneself. Especially, it is for the non-arising of this hindrance that the practitioner needs purification of morality. If the practitioner is unhappy with her morality, his misdeed done, or even if it is difficult to concentrate while practicing meditation, it is to be understood that there is the hindrance of restlessness and remorse. If there is no such thing within, that also need to be understood. So that I think you all have heard or might learn that in the Visuddhimagga path of purification, it explains how you should practice the spirituality. Sile patittahaya narosapanya. That's what it explains here. You have to have quite good sila, morality when you practice meditation. Because those who do not have quite good sila, then when he starts to practice meditation, he's going to remember the things, the immoral things that he has done in the past. So it is important to keep as much as possible the morality is well. So then it helps to practice meditation. So sila, the main purpose of the sila is also to development of the samadhi in the teachings of the Buddha. That's what it explains here. Then it is to be contemplated upon the causes of arising, etc., of availability or unavailability of the hindrance, of restlessness and remorse. It is because of frequent unsuitable contemplation upon the restlessness of mind that unarisen restlessness and remorse arises, and arisen restlessness and remorse arisen again and again and develops. Atti bhikkhave cetaso avupasamo tatta ayoniso manasicara bahulikaro ayamaharo anuppannasava uddacca kukkuccassa uppadaya. Uppannasava uddacca kukkuccassa bihiyo bhavaya vepullaya. Restless of mind itself is restless and remorse. Having not understood it and not making effort to abandon it, contemplating unsuitably upon that restless of mind is in accordance with that is the unsuitable contemplation. New restlessness and remorse might arise based upon factors through which never have arisen restlessness and remorse before. The arisen restlessness and remorse also increases and develops again and again. So contemplating unsuitably, which means ayoniso manasikara, then develops this hindrance. The cause of unarising of the arisen restlessness and remorse and the dissipation of the arisen restlessness and remorse is the frequent suitable contemplation upon concentration or the appeasement of the mind. So the suitable contemplation means here the yoniso manasikara. It is because of the following 6 factors, namely learning the Dhamma and Vinaya, questioning on what is suitable and unsuitable, understanding the nature of discipline, associating with wise persons, associating with good friends who know the discipline, and speaking about what is proper and improper. The hindrance of restlessness and remorse do never arise but dissipates. So these are the 6 factors to eliminate this hindrance. These 6 factors are given as the factors arise for the hindrance of restlessness and remorse of the monk. For the monk who is contemplating the text and meaning of the Dhamma and Vinaya that was learned by him and recites it, no such mental confusion or restlessness arise in him. Since the possessor of both Dhamma and Vinaya know better what is to be done or undone, as a treatment for the committed offense, there is no room to arise remorse as well. The one who frequently questions what is proper and improper is freed from offenses. Therefore, there is no room to arise the hindrance of restlessness and remorse in him too. Mostly this arises because of committing offenses. From both restlessness and remorse, which are suppressed by aforesaid 6 factors, restlessness comes to the termination with the attainment of the path of arahantship, while remorse comes to the termination with the attainment of the path of non-returner. So, the first one, learning about Dhamma and Vinaya, specifically here mentioned for the monks, but when it comes to lay people, you also have to have some pretty good understanding about how certain precepts are broken, and how your morality or sila become impure. And when you understand these things, you can reduce the restlessness, the uddacha, because if it is otherwise, that you would always wonder whether you have done something wrong or you have done it correctly or something like that. So when you understand well, specifically it is mentioned here for monks, for Dhamma and Vinaya, so then you can reduce these hindrances. So it terminates here the arahantship while remorse. So the remorse, no. The restlessness come to the termination with the attainment of path of arahantship. So that we know that there are 10 sanyojanas, bonds. So that is terminated with the arahantship, attaining arahantship, while the remorse is terminated in the path of attainment, non-returner level, because we know that the non-returner level, anagami, who terminates the hatred, the one who attain anagamihood, or the non-returner level, he eliminates the anger completely. So remorse does not appear or completely eradicates in the attainments of anagami or non-returner, while the uddacha or the restlessness is terminated at the arahat path knowledge, or the arahantship. So the third one, the hindrance of the doubt, or the fifth, the last one. Doubt is the English equivalent for vichikicha. In Pali, doubt arises about many factors, many things. Even, every arisen doubt is not the hindrance of doubt. Only doubt that hinders to jhana, etc., is considered as the hindrance of doubt. There are 8 such doubts which hinder the gaining of jhana, etc. So there are some other doubts actually, which is called anivarana vichikicha in some other texts. So when we are going to do something, there may be some doubts whether this is correct or wrong. So we have to contemplate for some times to understand that. So in some factors, they are not becoming hindrance, but there are some particular factors when they arise in us, they become a hindrance to, which means they are going to hinder our spiritual development to attain jhanas and higher fruits. So the doubt which becomes hindrance are the doubt about the Buddha, doubt about the Dhamma, doubt about the Sangha, doubt about the 3 training, morality, concentration, and wisdom, sila, samadhi, prajna, doubt about pre-existence of aggregates, etc., doubt about re-existence of aggregates, etc., which means the previous lives and the next lives. Doubt about both pre-existence and re-existence of aggregates. Doubt about the dependent origination. So these are the factors that become hindrance, which hinder the spiritual development of the practitioner. Doubt about the Buddha means pondering whether the Buddha really knew everything or not. Doubt about the Dhamma means thinking whether there are the 9 supreme Dhamma four paths, four fruits, and Nibbana, or not, or whether the Dhamma taught by the Buddha is true or not. Doubt about the Sangha means whether really there is an order of the 8 individuals of noble disciples of the Sublime One, or not, or whether there is an order of disciples who are practicing well or not. Doubt about the training means whether the principle of the 3 groups of morality, concentration and wisdom, truly cross over the flood of samsaric dukkha or not. Doubt about the pre-existence of aggregates means doubt about whether you were there in the past as a certain person or not. Doubt about the re-existence of aggregates means whether you will be reborn again or not. Doubt about the dependent origination means whether these present 5 aggregates of existence came to exist dependent upon the past existence of ignorance and volitional formations or not. These 8 kinds of doubts have been enunciated for the Buddhist practitioners. For those who are non-Buddhist, who do not know the triple gem but still practice jhana, what becomes a hindrance in their own teacher, his Dhamma and principles. The Buddhists are those who practice meditation with confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the 3 training taught by the Buddha. For them, if there is a doubt of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, etc., cannot practice well. Since jhana, etc., cannot be gained if not engaging with full of care, effort, and love, each one of these factors weakens it and becomes a hindrance for them. For those who practice according to Buddhism, doubt about the Buddha, etc., is a significant cause for the weakening of effort of practicing meditation. Therefore, that will be a hindrance. In other dispensation too, those who have doubt about their teacher and the Dhamma will be great hindrance. So that we know in the Buddha's time, when the Buddha appeared in the world, there were many rishis, many other religious practitioners who had gained jhanas. So the jhana is not inclusive only to Buddhism. There are many other practitioners who can get jhanas. For as mentioned here, these 8 factors are going to be a hindrance for Buddhists to gain jhana and higher attainments. When it comes to other practitioners, it becomes a bit different for those who are non-believers of Buddhism. The practitioner should do her own exploration to know whether there is doubt or not within. This is an era of exploration. Therefore, now for humans, there is doubt more than ever before. Dispelling doubts itself is difficult, but understanding whether there is doubts or not within is not that difficult. Having investigated and understood whether the doubt is present or not in oneself, one should think of the cause of arising of doubt, etc. So this is very important to understand, that we know that we can eliminate the doubt and the vichikicha completely at the attaining of sotapanna level. stream enter level. But before there can be some doubts, but if those doubts develop much, then they can become hindrance. For an example, about the Buddha, those who listen to the Dhamma talks can understand well, but those who do not listen to the Dhamma talks or do not learn, read about the teachings of the Buddha, would surprised to hear sometimes about the qualities of the Buddha or the abilities of the Buddha as an extraordinary human being. So learning about the Buddha and other factors as well, one can eliminate the hindrances and practice the spirituality quite well. Otherwise, those doubts can become a greater hindrance to develop the spirituality. The cause of arising of an unarisen doubt and the increase of arisen doubts is the improper contemplation of the factors that cause for the arising of doubt. Attibhikkhave vichikiච්ඡā tāniya dhamma. Tatta ayunso manasikara bahulikaro ayamaharo anuppannāyava vichikiච්ඡāya uppadhāya. Uppannāyava vichikiච්ඡāya bhiyo bhavāya vipula. The great cause of arising doubt is doubt. When doubt arises on a particular thing, if it is not dispelled, then it arises again and again. Not only that, then it arises on many different factors as well. Suppose doubt arises about the Buddha, the doubt arises about all other 7 factors as well. Through doubt about the training also, all other doubts arise. Therefore, it is to be understood that the cause of arising more and more doubt is doubt itself. The proper contemplation about doubt is a contemplation until it vanishes. The cause of unarisen doubt and the dissipation of arisen doubt is a frequent proper contemplation upon the things that are wholesome and unwholesome, fault and faultless, associated and non-associated, inferior and superior, and what is black and white. Attibhikkhave kusala dhamma, savajjanavajja dhamma, sevitabba asevitabba dhamma, hinappanita dhamma, khanna sukha sappati bhaga dhamma. Tatta yonso mansikara bahulikaro ayamaharo anuppannasava vichikiච්ඡāya anuppadāyava anuppannāyava vichikiච්ඡāya na bhiyo bhavāya. Having studied either the whole 3 baskets, Tripitaka, or a part of it, asking questions, reading the triple gem, knowing the nature of the discipline, confidence immersed in the triple gem, having good friends who have confidence in the triple gem, and righteous speech are the 6 factors for the dissipation of doubt. Doubt that was dissipated through which factors would be completely eliminated by gaining the path of stream entry. So these are the factors that one can dissipate or eliminate doubt. So the asking questions regarding the triple gem, knowing the nature of the discipline, confidence immersed in triple gem, which means the saddha, developing, improving saddha is also very important. Having good friends and who have confidence in the triple gem, and righteous speech. So these are the factors that can be helpful to eliminate doubts, and then can we practice the spirituality or the meditation quite well. So as we've discussed before, this particular hindrance can be eliminated by gaining the sota panna or the stream entry. So these are the hindrances, the rest of the hindrances. So last week that we've discussed the first two hindrances, so that we've discussed all the 5 hindrances. So anything to be discussed more or clarified? Now we have some time to have a discussion.
Bante, may I have some permission to add something?
Yes, of course.
Bante, this deceptive and subtle side of the unwholesome deeds or the defilements are found in the Vanchanik Dharma book by the Most Venerable Thero.
Yes.
So if the other 2 devotees want to read that, I thought I will mention that.
Yes, yes.
It's going to be helpful to understand what you are explaining.
Yes, yes, there are always some subtle way of having those unwholesome chittas, unwholesome states of our minds. Yes, it is very, it can be very helpful to understand these quite well, because they are called vanchanika dhammas, right?
Yes, Bhante.
Yeah, they can be appeared in our minds like decepting, right?
Yes, it's there's a translation of that book, Bhante, Deceptive Defilements.
Yes, for an example, like the raga or the lobha can appear as karuna, something like that.
True, Bhante.
Yes.
And Bhante, the book we are discussing at the moment, to get, I wonder whether the other 2 devotees can have the English translation of that.
I think Mahinda Mahatmya has one of the copies, but I wonder whether the other one, the Gita Nona, has.
Bhante, few days ago, I found a link. I can send it to you. English translations, and there are 13 books by Most Venerable Thero. Is translated to English.
That would be very nice if you can send me the links.
Okay, I'll get your number from Pri and send it to you, Bhante.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much, and I appreciate that.
Bhante, I think we are very fortunate to listen to this Dhamma session on this Binara full moon day, and may you have lots and lots of merits.
Thank you very much. Happy to hear that. I try my best to explain. I wonder whether you
It's very
understand.
helpful because I'm listening to the Sinhala one as well, because I've been reading from time to time these books, and there were things that I couldn't understand. Certain things. Yeah, it is very helpful. But
yeah, all right. Thank you so much. Okay, then let's read. There some small description as well. The end of the description of hindrances, though the contemplation on the 5 aggregates, 12 bases, 7 enlightenment factors, and the 4 noble truths are given in the Maha Satipatthana Sutta. Since it is quite impossible to explain all these in a small book like this, we come to the conclusion of contemplation of the mental objects as mental objects in this manner. Development of establishment of mindfulness takes place not only by practicing the above meditations, Through all wholesome meditation based on serenity and insight, establishment of mindfulness are developed. All these belong to one of the four establishments of mindfulness, such as the contemplation of mindfulness of body, which means kaya anupassana. Therefore, whatever the meditation you are engaged in, it is to be understood as the establishment of mindfulness. So as I mentioned before, there are 5 subtopics under this, the fourth type of mindfulness meditation. So the mindfulness meditation, the mindfulness of the mental objects as mentioned before. There are 5 subtopics. The number one, which we've discussed, it was about the hindrances. Then the aggregates, ayatana. Then the 7 enlightenment factors, the bojjhanga, and the noble truths. But in this particular book, it only has been explained about aggregates. About hindrances. So we discussed the first one. Then let's discuss the next topic in next week. So if there is no any other questions or anything to be discussed, that we can wind up our session today here. Mahinda Mahatma, what is your thoughts on this?
Yes, Bhante, so far it has been clear.
Okay.
So I think we are.
Okay, then let's wind up here.
And thanks to the lady offering that link, because I think Geetanjali doesn't have a book, so it will be very useful.
Yes, I can share it.
Yes, Bhante.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then today that we've discussed this noble Dhamma, and we've generated enormous amounts of wholesome thoughts. So let's let's dedicate these wholesome thoughts to our departed relatives. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Let's transfer these merits to the devas as well. Itthavatacha amhehi sambhatang punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Itthavatacha amhehi sambhatang punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti by the power of these merits that we've generated today, may lead us to supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Teruvan Saranai Hamidinatama. May the noble triple gem bless you all.
Teruvan Saranai.
Teruvan Saranai.